Hello guys, welcome back to Edexcel Science channel, and now we are at question 8 from 2026 June IAL Pure Maths 1 paper from Edexcel. Question number 8 is saying a curve C has equation y equals to f of x where x is greater than 0. The point P with x coordinate 1 over 4 lies on C. Given that the first derivative of our function is 10 plus 5 root of x minus 4 divided by 2x square, and the tangent to C at P, which is this point, has equation this, where k is a constant. Find the value of k. Okay, so if you read this question like this, it is going to be a little bit complicated because it has a lot of information. But let me just draw it, okay? Now, I do not know what is f of x or what is its equation, but let's say that this is f of x, okay? And this is our point P. Now, if I draw a tangent over here, okay, which is not correct actually, wait, right, better. Okay, so this is my tangent, okay? This tangent has an equation y equals kx plus 2. They are they're telling us to find out this value of k. Now, this simple diagram, even though this is not correct at all, but at least it will help us to understand what is going on in the question. And it will also help you to have better thought processing. Now, we know that the gradient of the point P and the tangent that you draw at that point must be the same. Okay, so the gradient of point P and the gradient of the tangent must be the same. And we also know our first derivative, which is called the gradient function. So I know the x coordinate of point P, which is 1 over 4, and I do not know the y coordinate of point P, so I am going to call it yp. We don't really need it right now. Um, so I can say that for A1, f prime of 1 over 4 is, so what I'm basically doing is, I know the x coordinate of point P. So I can plug that value in our gradient function to find out the gradient of the curve at point P, which is going to be equal to the gradient of the tangent. So 10 plus 5 root of 1 over 4 minus 4 divided by 2 times 1 over 4 whole square. So that is going to give us -2. Okay, such complicated calculation, but we only get -2, which is very satisfying, I suppose. Now, I can say that this is basically the gradient of the tangent at point P. So k is basically -2. All right. Now, they are telling us to find the equation of the normal to C. Okay. So let me use a different color. Let me choose, let's say, blue. So they are now drawing a tangent at point P, which must be 90° to our tangent, which is the green line. Now, to find out the equation of any straight line, you basically need two pieces of information. You need the gradient of that line, and you need one point on that line, any point on that line. It doesn't matter. So I know the gradient. It is not given to us, but I can find it out. So for A number 2, I can say that gradient of normal must be the negative reciprocal of the gradient of the tangent. So since the tangent is -12, the gradient of the tangent is -12, I can say that the gradient of normal must be half. Okay, negative, and then you reciprocal it. And I know the x coordinate of point P, so I can just find out using this equation the y value of point P. Okay, so let me remove this. I can write down -2. Okay, so I know this equation and it touches point P. So if I plug in 1 over 4 in this equation, it will give me the y coordinate of point P. So I can say yp is -2 times 1 over 4 added with 2, and it will give me 3 over 2. That is the coordinate of the y coordinate of point P. So equation of normal is basically y minus y1 equals gradient x minus x1. You do not have to write this in your exam because this carries 0 marks. It literally doesn't carry any marks, but I am writing this to make it easier for you guys. So y minus 3 over 2, and our gradient is half, and the x coordinate of point P is 1 over 4. They have also asked us to give the equation in this format. So now all I have to do is basically simplify it. Okay. Okay. So I can say y minus 3 over 2 equals half x minus 1 over 8. So I am going to multiply all of this with 8 to remove all the fractions. So 8y, actually, I don't have to actually do that, actually. Sorry. That will make things unnecessarily complicated. So minus 1 over 8 plus 3 over 2. So y equals half x plus 11 over 8. And that is the equation of our tangent. Sorry, of our normal to point P. I don't really need any of this. I don't think so, but let's actually leave it over there. Okay. So now they're asking us to find out f of x in number B. Now we know that f of x must be the integral of the first derivative, right, guys? If this is the first derivative, and if I basically integrate it, it will give me the original function. So I can say integration of this, but this doesn't look differentiation ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually um, simplify it a little bit before we actually start our differentiation. So 5 root of x divided by 2x square. So I can say 10 plus 5 root of x divided by 2x square minus 4 divided by 2x square. Okay, now we can write, actually I can just make this 5x to the power half. So it is 5 over 2 x to the power negative 3 over 2 minus 2x to the power minus 2. Right, guys? This, I have basically wrote all the indices form of my variables and its power, because that will just make it easier for me to differentiate it. So now I am just going to integrate. Actually, I'm not going to do differentiation. I'm going to do integration, but I'm saying differentiation again and again. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to integrate my first derivative to find out the original function. Okay. So 10 will become 10x because it doesn't have any variable with it. Um, this will become 5 over 2 times x to the power minus 3 over 2 plus 1 and divided by the same power. This will become x to the power minus 1 divided by minus 1, and I have to consider a integration constant. So 10x minus 5 x to the power half, actually negative half, and positive 2x to the power minus 1 plus c. So that is the simplified version. But I have to find out the value of c for me to actually say that I have completely found out my function. I know that one of the point on the function is p, and I know the x coordinate and the y coordinate of p. So I am just going to plug in p 1 over 4, 3 over 2 into this equation. Okay, if I plug this in, it will become 3 over 2 equals 10 times 1 over 4 minus 5, 1 over 4 to the power minus half, plus 2, 1 over 4 to the power minus 1, plus c. If you just put all this in your calculator, it will give you a value of 1. Wow, that is very nice. So your f of x is 10x minus 5x to the power minus half plus 2x to the power minus 1 plus 1. Okay, guys, I hope I was able to make this easy for you guys. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video.